where are you joining us from? Sorry for that, your name and where you're joining us from. So just to start, I would like to give a brief on the ARIN Fellowship Program. At ARIN, we have this program where we bring all the researchers together to just peer learn each other and share knowledge on how to do research in Africa, to determine the gaps that can be worked on and what to make possible and what to not. So we do have these talented researchers and technocrats across Africa who have been undertaking research from various fields, that is from the natural resource management, climate change, forestry, energy, water, and so on. So they leverage their knowledge and experiences in promoting research, excellence, and impact pathways. So from these experiences, we are able to contribute to Africa's research transformation. So having said that, I would like to introduce our topic for today. We're going to discuss on academic and research perspective on WASH governance. WASH is water, sanitation and hygiene governance in Africa. How can that be worked on? How can it be improved so as to enable the Africa as a continent to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 6, that is clean water and sanitation. So having known that, like in Africa, we still have a long way to go. Our policies are not that well put and they are not effective. So we need to come up with those effective, evidence-based and feasible practices that can make our people, especially the low-income communities, to improve their livelihoods and their lives as well. So our speaker for today will be Dr. Donde. Dr. Donde is a researcher and a lecturer from Egerton University, is the head of Environmental Science Department, is also the, Dr. Donde is also a chief editor in Pan-Africa Science Journal. So I'll welcome him to take us through the presentation. And in case you have a question or a concern, you'll just put in the comment section, then we'll revisit after the presentation. So Dr. Donde, kindly take us through your presentation. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Donde. It seems you are muted. We can hear you.
Sorry for that. Am I heard now?
Yes, please. We can hear you.
Yes, you are clear. You're audible.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much. And welcome you all to this talk. I perceive it more to be a discussion rather than a talk or a teaching, which I'm used to. So again, just to bring you to speed to what we are like, we are going to have going forward from now is that the one who has just invited me is Lavenda. Lavenda was our student here. And so Lavenda approached me and discussed with me that she works for African Research Impact Network, where they bring in speakers from different fields to give their perspective, to give a talk on issues to do with research. And therefore, she asked me to accept and come in and give a talk. She had approached me previously, and I think then I was busy on something. She approached me the second time, and I think you can understand it is, for us teachers, we always give assignments to our students. So when a student approaches you in a way that she's giving you an assignment, it will have not been very in order to turn it down for the very second time. So that's when I accepted his invitation, sorry for that. And since it was, the time frame was short, I shared on the topic that I wish I would give a talk on. And after sharing with her the topic, I realized there's a terminology there that is very challenging, especially based on the fact that I come from an academic institution where we do a lot of teaching, research, but little on governance. But again, we believe that the academic and the research outputs in one way or the other contribute to governance. So as we are going to go through this talk, you'll realize that much of my focus will be on research, will be on academics, but in one way or the other, I'll try to link it up with the governance within the realm of water, sanitation, and hygiene. As you've been told, my name is Oscar Donde. I work at Egerton University and currently the chair of Environmental Science Department. I welcome you all again to this talk, and I hope we are going to have a fruitful discussion. My slide is not moving. Just a minute. Why? It could be an issue. Sorry. Sorry for that technical hitch. I'm trying to scroll the slide. Are you people seeing my slide that I've just shared?
Yes, please. We can see.
The problem is that I can't, when I try to scroll it, don't know whether it's the computer that has hung up or it is.
Probably you can try stop sharing and resharing again to see if that
Yeah,
works.
I think it will force me to do that. Okay, nice. So I was taking you to my presentation outline, and again, as much as you've been given the introduction, I think there's some in-depth introduction that I will love to give, and I'm going to give it at the very start of this talk. And again, you'll realize that my talk will be into 3 major parts, which I've also tried to highlight based on different colors. The very first part will be more on emerging contaminants, followed by innovations in wastewater management. And lastly, I'm going to share with you what we do as a university in research and in academics within the realm of water, sanitation, and hygiene. As you've been told, again, I'm going to do it very detailed but briefly. Detailed on the slide, but brief from the talk. I hold a PhD from the University of Chinese Academy of Science that's based in China, an MSc and a BSc both from Egerton University. I've worked for Kenya Marine and Fisheries Research Institute as a researcher, but currently serving Egerton University as a lecturer, and as you've also been told, as the sitting head of department, that is Department of Environmental Science. Additionally, I do other things that I take as community service, where I serve as an editor-in-chief for a journal by the name Pan-African Science Journal, and therefore those who are in research and would wish to publish their work will reach us through the links that is available on the website for that particular journal. I'd also previously served as an ambassador to Africa representing Crossref, in Africa. And Crossref is an organization that supports the sharing of research outputs. For those who've been reading research documents or published documents, you'll notice that most of them have what is called the DOI. And that DOI is assigned by Crossref. So I'd served as an ambassador for Crossref, representing Africa. Thereafter, I joined again, or I was given another position within Crossref to serve as a board member. And that board membership, I think it commenced in March 2023, and it will go for the next 3 years. So those are what I do in terms of my profession and some community service. As I indicated earlier, that I had a very technical terminology to bring and link with what we do at the university, which is academics and research. And to try and link academics to research, I will first bring to your attention the need or the link that exists from what we do in research and what the community expects of us. We need to understand that that link has to be there, because in the event that it lacks, what that means is that the output that comes from research may not reach the intended purpose. And because every time we do research to make life better. We do research to solve a problem. But in most cases, we'll find that people indulge in research. They produce enormous data that do not translate to benefits, to community benefits, to ecological benefits, to environmental benefits, or even to benefits to our nation, to our region, or the entire globe. So what is needed to ensure that the research that is done within the research institutes, within the university, within the non-governmental organizations that are also focused in research, become beneficial to the community. From my perspective, I will say that we need to strengthen dissemination. Dissemination will act as a link between the organizations that I have listed and the community. When I talk about community, I also include the environment where they occur, because as I had noted earlier, that research is majorly undertaken to solve problems that we have in our environment, problems that we have in our community. And therefore, when that linkage is strengthened, where what we produce in research is channeled to the environment, is channeled to the community, there will be that cross-border communication, where again, us as researchers will be in a position to understand the continual problems, or the problems, or what we call the gaps that still exist in the environment, that still exist within the community, that needs our attention in a manner that we can again sit down, develop proposals, design studies to continue solving such problems. So at this point, I will first strengthen on the need to embrace the need to strengthen dissemination of research output. So all of us as researchers, we should ensure that when we get the opportunity to undertake a research, we should note that the output from the research that we generate reaches the intended point. And here, the intended point is either what I call the community, the environment, or even the ecosystem. So we need to put that in mind and always strive to strengthen that component of research output dissemination. With that in mind, and if I take you back to the topic, our topic was on wastewater. Therefore, I'll start making a background introduction on some of the important aspects or issues that are within or are related to wastewater governance or wastewater research. And the very first point that I will bring forth at this juncture is the fact that based on this pie chart, you'll realize that there are several causes of infection or even deaths. And if you check the yellow portion, which represent the diarrhea, we have the acute respiratory infection. Recently, we had the COVID-19 that falls under the same. What I try to show here is that diarrheal infection causes just as many deaths or as many detrimental effects as respiratory infections. And the major contributor to diarrheal issues or diarrheal infection is improper or inadequate management of our wastewater systems. In fact, it's something that you'll agree with or will object, but somebody once said that every time you get a diarrhea, there's high likelihood that in one way or the other, or in the smallest quantity, you consumed someone else's feces, because diarrheal is more linked to pollution or contamination of water sources, that domestic water sources, where we get our water and use for domestic purposes. And so if you so happen to have a diarrhea, there's high likelihood that you consume the contaminated water, consume the contaminated food, which are the two major contributors of diarrhea. And with that, or with that statistics, it tells us that we also need to take issues of wastewater with the seriousness that it deserves. With that in mind, as I have indicated, that most of the diarrheal cases that we find ourselves in generally arise from the contamination of food or contamination of water. Additionally, or in addition to diarrheal cases that arise from contaminated water, we have numerous range of diseases that are categorized differently, that are connected to water and are promoted by inadequate or inadequacy in wastewater management. And as you can see, they range from waterborne diseases, which had made a discussion on, as it is what causes the diarrhea. We have water-based, we have water-washed, or we even have water-related diseases. And with this again in mind, it's also evidential that we need to handle issues of wastewater with the seriousness. More research, more energy, and more resources needs to be put in ensuring that we continue to correct mistakes that exist in the management of wastewater systems. Moreover, as a very important or significant aspect of wastewater or water and sanitation is the rising incidences of antibiotic resistance. I'll try to explain in the simplest manner possible so that those who are not in technical research would understand. Recently, you might find that people fall sick, people go to hospitals, they are given antibiotics to treat whichever illness that they have acquired, but in most cases, they don't get cured. What connects to that is the fact that the pathogenic microorganisms that cause numerous diseases in our health have acquired what is called resistance. How does it come to be? Environment is experiencing pollution, and it's a pollution that even includes pharmaceutical products being deposited in our water bodies, being deposited in our environment. So when these pharmaceutical products, including antibiotics, are exposed or are deposited in the environment, and the bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria, get exposed to them, they get used to, they become friends. Allow me to use that simple terminology. They become friends to the extent that next time that particular pathogenic bacteria, pathogenic microorganism gets into your body, causes a disease, you go and acquire the same antibiotic from a chemist, and based on the dosage that is recommended to you, you take that antibiotic. The antibiotic will again, in your body, find that particular friend that it had encountered in the environment. So that's one way in which pathogenic microorganisms get exposed to or get close to antibiotics, and they become used to the antibiotics. They acquire resistance, and what that translates to the inability or inefficiency of the antibiotics that are available in the market. So this is becoming a very big problem, and it connects with the wastewater, because in most cases, improper management of waste, be it solid, be it liquid, at whichever source that they are produced, the waste will be washed, and where they end to is the wastewater, the first point. And that's where there will be that interaction between the pathogenic microorganisms and the antibiotics. This issue of antibiotic resistance even extends further, because again, I also do it in a very simple way so that you understand. If there's a bacteria that has acquired or a pathogenic bacteria with the antibiotic resistance acquisition in it, when it also interacts with other non-pathogenic bacteria, they will experience what is called gene transfer. And the way to put it, or the simplest way to describe it, is like when a drunkard, when somebody who is used to drinking or who drinks, somebody who do not drink gets into the company of the people that drink. In more or less cases, the person who does not drink is likely to acquire the traits of the person who drinks. That's what I mean by gene transfer between non-pathogenic and pathogenic bacteria. A bacteria that has acquired antibiotic resistance and that which it has not acquired. So the exchange of genes, the coexistence of pathogenic bacteria with antibiotics in the environment is bringing or is creating a very huge problem in the health and pharmaceutical industry. And therefore, as wastewater practitioners, as wastewater experts, we treat antibiotic resistance in the environment as an emerging contaminant that we need to handle or to face with the technicality that it deserves. Moreover, I've described the bad side of wastewater, but again, wastewater in totality is not bad. In several ways, people have also tried to be innovative and use wastewater in several ways, ranging from the conventional methods that we know, where the sludge that comes from wastewater can be used as landfills, can also be used as soil amendments, particles, for example, the biochar and the rest, or There are also new alternative ways of putting into use wastewater or sludge that emanate from wastewater treatment. And there are technical innovations currently under research to ensure that as we work to eliminate the pathogens from the wastewater, as we work to upgrade or to make the wastewater treatment mechanisms efficient, we also ensure that the ultimate byproduct that arise from that the treatment process is also put into use. And if you can understand this entire process, it brings what we call the recycling of resources. So as scientists, as researchers, our focus, as much as we work to eliminate certain bad elements or pollutants or contaminants from the environment, there are others, or there are other end products that we should also try to bring back to the system and use in a way that it benefits the ecosystem or it benefits the environment. On the same note, there's a very common technology which is called EcoSan. It has been in use in several parts of the world for very many years. But the main focus of EcoSan is to ensure that the waste product that arise or that come from sanitation facilities are made use of in a way that benefits the environment or benefits the community. Through EcoSan, people have managed to make into use urine. You can imagine that. In most cases, people visit washrooms, deposit or release the urine, and forgets about it, not knowing that through research, through proper management, through proper experimental designs, urine can be put into a product that can be beneficial to the environment, that can be beneficial to a farmer, because urine is urea, and you've heard of the different components of fertilizer, the double superphosphate, the urea. So if urine is urea, it's more or less composed of urea. Research has ensured that that important component of the urine can be trapped and be utilized. Again, when you visit the toilet for a long call, in most of the cases, we perceive what we've deposited to be a waste and we forget about it. But through research and the proper management of wastewater, feces can be also beneficial. Beneficial in a way that can be used as biogas, can also be used to produce biochar or even fertilizers for soil amendments. The gray water that comes from our domestic sewer line is also a resource that research has identified to be very important and need not to be wasted, because that can undergo treatment using various methods, including the use of constructed wetland, to ensure that the quality of that gray water is promoted or is corrected in a way that it can be used for irrigation. Additionally, if you are in Kenya, for the last 2 weeks, I think we've been experiencing rain. Every time it rains, that water, right now, people don't think about that water because it's like it is in plenty. But when it stops to rain in the next 1 month, you will again hear people or communities complaining on how they suffer due to inadequate water. So again, through this EcoSan technologies, rainwater can be harvested for domestic use, or we could improve our grounds, in a way that when it rains, that water infiltrates and recharges the aquifers, so that those who dig boreholes within are able to get water that is sufficient, as opposed to it rains, that water pours on the soil or on the ground, and it moves, or it disappears through overland flows to very far places. So through EcoSan and through water management, rainwater is also one thing that research has identified that if it is in excess, in a way that you cannot harvest it, because you can't have tanks to get hold of the entire rain that pours from above. But we can do appropriate research in ensuring that that water infiltrates to the maximum level possible. Through EcoSan, organic waste have also been made into very useful product through composting, either anaerobically or aerobically, and the entire, or the ultimate product of that is the product that is used in improving the soil fertility, or to some extent, the production of biogas. So through all this explanation, it brings to your attention that what we initially perceived to be causing diseases, several diseases, what we initially perceived to be housing bacteria that can cause diseases, to be a home or containing resistant pathogenic bacteria, antibiotic resistant bacteria, can also be used in a manner that it promotes our welfare, it promotes our environment, and in the long run, uplifts our economic status. I've explained much of this, but looking at this, as I've said, linking EcoSan with what we call integrated water resource management. Integrated water resource management is the management of water resource in a perspective that's put into consideration all the aspects, the human aspects, animal aspects, the physical aspects, the chemical aspects, political aspects, all the aspects are put in consideration in managing a water as a resource. So the outcome of research, the innovation that has come as a result of research, and this is what I call the EcoSan, has greatly promoted the idea of integrated water resource management, because through that, we've been able to protect, or to alleviate, or to prevent the side effects of flooding. We've also been able to make a contribution to climate protection. We've also been able to make a contribution to reduction in the use of fossil fuel, or even their conservation wherever they are. There's a contribution in an economy. There's a promotion of labor opportunities. There's alimentation, health, and so on and so forth. And this can even be seen at a wider multi-sectoral scale. So what I'm trying to explain here is that embracing technology, embracing innovation in wastewater management goes beyond just promoting proper handling of that wastewater. It connects with so many other aspects of the environment, It connects with so many other aspects of the economy. It connects with so many other aspects of agricultural production in a way that it benefits the environment, in a way that it benefits the community. So linking it to my main focus of research output dissemination. This is a good example of the fact that if you do a research and come up with an innovation like the EcoSan and connect it with other sectors of the economy, the benefits that emanate from that linkage becomes even more, becomes even wider, and encompasses several other issues that again promote the well-being of not only human beings, but every other living organism in the ecosystem. I'd indicated that I come from an academia background. I work at a university, and therefore there are several things or different research directions that are currently going on or that we engage in with the focus of increasing or promoting the production of more innovations, like what we've just seen, the EcoSan, that if well connected with the community, becomes a useful tool in promoting the life of people, in promoting the economic status of the community. So within environmental science department, we do a lot of research that touches on promoting drinking water quality, ranging from the borehole water or the underground water to surface water. We also do a lot on wastewater, as well as solid waste management. And of recent, we are also shifting our interest on the management of pharmaceutical products. And the reason for this is what I had also indicated earlier, is based on the increasing existence of antibiotic resistant bacteria or antibiotic resistant pathogenic bacteria. I'll also take you through this research output to explain some of the issues that we do in our department that I've listed above. This was a research that was done in some domestic water sources in Naivasha. And just to make it simple so that I don't bother you much with the research data, when there's the EC there stands for Escherichia coli, that is a bacteria, an indicator bacteria for fecal pollution. We also have the total coliform. Total coliforms are all bacteria that have coliform in their shape. Their shape they are rod shaped, so they have coliform shape. We also have the EI, and by EI I mean intestinal enterococci. It's also an indicator bacteria of fecal pollution. The CP, the Clostridium perfringens, another indicator bacteria. Then these are general bacteria, the HPC, the trophic plate count. It gives you an overall bacteria within an environment. My explanation on this is a way to show that the water that is available for domestic consumption in most cases is polluted. But again, it brings in another aspect, because in some scenario, you might find that the water from the natural environment, for example, if we pick the borehole water, the water that is underground may be of good quality. But when that water is availed to the community, the way it is handled makes its quality to deteriorate. And that's what is expressed by these bar graphs, because there's one here that indicates water from the point of access. Like somebody goes and take water that is freshly pumped from a borehole. Then follow up that water to the time that is surveilled to a child in the house. So go and sample that water that is in a container in someone's house. You will find that there's a change in the quality of that water. The quality that was originally taken up from a borehole point, if you compare with the quality that is available within the household, the one within the household has deteriorated. And what this points out is that the contamination of water does not only take place within the source, but also based on how we handle it. So as scientists or as researchers, as much as we work to promote the quality and the quantity of water at the source, we need not to forget to teach and create awareness to the community or to the household on better means and better ways of storing this water, as well as protecting it, so that if the water that is from a borehole was of good quality, that quality or should be maintained up to the time that is surveilled in the household for consumption. I will not be specific on where the study was done, but I'm just using this to explain that the fact that we need to embrace awareness or creation of awareness on appropriate ways and means of handling water within the households. Of importance that I've shared before is the antibiotic resistance. And again, as a department, this is an area that we are gaining interest in. And there are some research that are ongoing, some had been done, and some proposals are also being drafted to ensure that we understand the quantities of these antibiotic resistant bacteria in water, in fish, and even in food substances. The main aim of this is to try and understand the exposures, as well as means of correcting or means of preventing such occurrences. In addition to that, the department has also developed interest and is indulging on research that covers on issues to do with the heavy metals in water, heavy metals in fish, as well as heavy metals in food substances. Moreover, this is also considered an emerging pollutant. We have microplastic. In most cases, you'll hear environmental scientists or environmental researchers focusing more on solid waste, but forgetting what is here as microplastic. So as a department, we've also developed interest in focusing our effort on research that will help us understand the predisposing factors to microplastic pollution in water, fish, and food, and also come up with innovative ways of preventing such pollutions, or even solving issues or problems that have already been caused by the existence of microplastic in our water, in the aquatic microorganisms that we consume, such as fish, or even in other food products. We also have this one. This is also our interest. Some people could argue that it is our interest because our university, Egerton University, is based in Nakuru. And for those who are keen enough, most people born in Nakuru, bred in Nakuru, and in Nakuru, we'll find that in one way or the other, they have that discoloration in their teeth. What is caused, or what causes that, is the type or the quality of water that is available within the floor of the Rift Valley. For example, within the Njoro or the Nakuru area. So the existence or the high level of fluoride in the water that is availed for consumption within the households in the regions with the high fluoride levels is creating a problem, because it not only results to coloration of the teeth, but there are also other side effects of high levels of fluoride in either the food or the water that we consume. For example, if you check at the photo that I've just showed, you'll find that we have an individual there with a bowed leg, somebody who does not look very old, but already has attained the bending posture. So those are some of the issues and the problems that are brought about by overconsumption of in-health elements or fluoride. To explain that further, this is also a research output that was conducted within the floor or within an area that occurs within the floor of the Rift Valley, where it is perceived to be having, which is perceived to be having high levels of fluoride. And for sure, research has also confirmed that by those high levels of conductivity. So what do I bring about by showing this? I'm trying to indicate that fluoride is an issue that also needs to be considered together with other wastewater issues like the antibiotic resistance or even the pathogenic microorganisms. However, this has also has caused very many problems. The existence of high levels of fluoride in the water available in several regions within the Rift Valley has resulted to numerous challenges and numerous problems, ranging from the public health implications, public health implications that arise from different fluoridation methods. I would add an explanation to this. There are many organizations that have come in to help the community in lowering or in treating the water that they consume against fluoride. However, there hasn't been, it hasn't been based on proper research, because we are realizing that what these people do is that they eliminate fluoride from the water and they are fluoride-free water to the community. But the question is, these residues or this precipitate, the fluoride precipitate that is eliminated from water, where is it taken? In most cases, we will find that it ends up in another water body or in another wastewater treatment system. And as you know, energy is neither created nor destroyed. It circulates. So based on that principle, that the precipitate, the fluoride precipitate, will continue circulating in our environment. And therefore, lack of proper defluoridation techniques, lack of proper management of the byproducts that arise from the defluoridation process has continued to increase the impact that arise from high levels of fluoride in the water that we consume. The ultimate challenge to this is the economics, the increased economic burden, as you know, and this is a reality to ladies and gentlemen listening to me. Those who have decolorized teeth they tend to dig deep in their pocket, especially at their mature age, to ensure that they correct what ought to had been corrected through proper research, through proper management of wastewater, or through proper research to come up with better innovation or innovative means of eradicating fluoride from the water that we consume. We have more and more challenges to this. For example, inadequate understanding on microbiological and physical aspects of water quality. I now bring in biofilm and connects it with defluoridation. Biofilm are the microbial community that grow on a substrate. So if they grow, for example, on, let's say, a rock or a stone within a wastewater facility, or even when they grow on a metallic substance within wastewater facility, they will also absorb or attract fluoride. And when they attract fluoride, at one point, dislodgement is the terminology to that effect. And if the fluoride is eventually dislodged, it increases the load back into the water sources that serves the households with domestic water. I will not explain much, but to summarize this, fluoride is an aspect that needs to be greatly considered in the proper management of wastewater, in the proper management of the quality of water that we provide to the community. So, with that in mind, way forward, what are some of the means or things that we need to embrace to strengthen solutions to issues of fluorosis, to issues of fluoride contamination? There's need to increase feasibility studies on fluoride hotspots. This will help people not to be digging boreholes in areas that are perceived to be fluoride hotspots. Because what that does is that when you dig boreholes in those areas, you harvest water together with the fluoride. The water can be provided to the community, treated or untreated. In whichever way, if it is treated, there's always some precipitate, fluoride precipitate that is generated. And this fluoride precipitate further contaminates or pollutes the environment to the extent that it even now gets into plants, into organisms or animals that are consumed by human beings. And through biomagnification, that impact even becomes more and more. There's need for feasibility studies on socioeconomic implication from defluoridation. There's need to develop defluoridation proposals to seek for funding. I think this is now to this the organization that gave me an invitation to provide a talk. So as you work towards bringing in scientists together to discuss their research findings or to discuss research gaps that requires further research, you also need to come in and work with us to develop proposals to drive research that will impact on the community. This I also add, but this to the organization again, can't take this up, because why do you think other people decide to take water that is untreated? For example, if it's water that is full of fluoride, it's because of the tariffs. And as you know, If you're in Kenya nowadays, everything is skyrocketing. And even we suspect the bill, the water bill, will also be revised, and it's likely to go up. What does that translate to? Will somebody spend money to treat water or spend money to look for food? You can look for food to eat, then you drink water that is untreated. So these are the issues that need to be incorporated or captured in some of the policy briefs that we come up with, pegged on the research outputs that we produce. To continue, we need to put up alternative sources to groundwater. There's need to strengthen policy regulations on borehole drilling. If you take up this, what this means is that water, or those who are into the business of providing water to the community, will only be restricted to be harvesting that water from areas that are producing safe water, as opposed to when it is left uncontrolled. You might find even someone drilling borehole a distance not far from the toilet. Someone drilling a borehole from an area that has been demarcated to be a fluoride hotspot. So a policy that is strengthened along that line will go a long way in ensuring that there's proper, or the water that is availed for community consumption comes from a source that is healthy, or that is safe to our health. Encourage cooperation, social responsibility, and more so by entities, companies that use a lot of water. Social responsibilities. We need to encourage companies that destroy or contribute to destruction, allow me to use the term destruction in quotes, to our environment, to give back. One way of giving back is promoting them or encouraging them to promote afforestation. If you do afforestation, meaning you are creating a water catchment, you are creating an environment that increases rainfall. You're also contributing to carbon reduction, or in one way or the other, solving the problem of global warming or climate change. Creation of community awareness on social and health impacts of fluorosis, or even the other diarrheal diseases. Promote and support rainwater harvesting. With that in mind, allow me again to share with you opportunities that you can come in, work with us, so that we work together towards coming up with good innovations in wastewater management, good innovations in wastewater reuse, good innovations in solving issues of fluorosis, or reducing fluoride levels in the water that we consume. We can come together to undertake studies on mechanisms and impacts of fluorosis and defluoration. You can work with us in studies on well water fluoride content issues within the community, or even tracking fluoride contents from the sources to the consumption points. Why do I talk about tracking? As I had explained with the borehole, where I indicated that a borehole could be producing very high quality water, but now the handling issues could be the major contributor to the contamination of that water. The same could also be realized with fluoride. As I had also explained, a borehole could be giving us water with fluoride. We subject that water to treatment, but we forget on how we handle the byproduct of that treatment, which is the fluoride precipitate that arises from that treatment. So in the long run, it will come to a point where the fluoride content is higher in the water that is available within the household than the water that comes from the borehole, because this precipitate in one way or the other mingles with us. We either within the household or they are deposited in the environment that connects with the other water sources or connects with the other food products like plants or even aquatic animals that we consume. We also need to incorporate the fluoridation practices in integrated water resource management. As you had realized, the incorporation of EcoSan in integrated water resource management gave a high level of benefits or of products. The same will also be realized if we do or we integrate the fluoridation practices in integrated water resource management. And one thing or one idea out of this, you can imagine that there could be a beneficial way using fluoride. What if fluoride can be used to make bricks that we can use in constructing houses? If that's so happens, it means we will be contributing towards reducing the availability of fluoride content in the environment. We also can also work together to explore on driving or giving short courses, graduate courses, or even postgraduate courses to study issues that relate to wastewater management. And to drive those particular gaps that I've invited you that you could consider coming in and working with me, working with us, or even working with another researcher from another organization. Those could be achieved by doing proposal evaluation, doing feasibility studies to companies or to organizations that think of undertaking a project that has an impact on water sources, has an impact on other contaminants that are related to water, doing environmental, social impact assessment to ensure that when a project is put up, it's put up in a way that it does not have a side effect, it does not create further problem to the environment. Work together to come up with research and innovation, work together in training, do technical and research-based advisories or advisories. Of great significance is working together to disseminate research findings. You've realized that organizations or NGOs work together with the universities, work together with other government organs to embrace dissemination of research, because I started by stressing on this terminology, dissemination. Unless a research finding is disseminated to the community, so that the community feedback is received, so that researchers will continue to identify more research gaps to solve, will not have a progress in terms of using research to solve the problems that we have in our environment. Moreover, we also offer consultancy that will go a long way in promoting the management of water as a research. And there are various aspects that we could provide consultancies on. So to the organizations, to the individuals that have interest in water resource management with specific emphasis to wastewater, We could also come together, or we could also work with you or work for you as a consultant. I will end my talk there and invite discussions that will strengthen what I've shared, or may even continue to enlighten us further. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that insightful and wonderful presentation. That was very informative on issues of wastewater. I've just come to learn that however much we think wastewater is a problem, we can also have the beneficial aspect of it, including how it can promote our welfare, our livelihood, and environment. Looking at the innovation under the EcoSan, that was a very insightful one. That technology can be used and can be disseminated as well across the various sectors or the various actors in water sector. That was a very insightful presentation. I will just wish or invite people, in case you have a problem, question that is, or a comment, you can raise your hand or put in the comment section. I'll read it. Just to start, I'll start with Leah's question. Leah is asking, have you had experience disseminating this with the policymakers to make this into policy? And then how does one balance issues of water governance and economic interests involved in the water resource? Please, Doc, you can answer that, as I welcome others to also put their questions in the chat section or raise their hand as well. Thanks.
Repeat the second question, please. The first one is about disseminate the problem that I've encountered in disseminating research, and the second one?
She's asking, how does one balance issues of water governance and economic interests involved in the water resource?
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. To start with and handle the question on dissemination, yes, I will accept that this is one big problem that we have as researchers, because there's a disconnect between researchers and policymakers. Policymakers in most cases are politicians. Researchers, we do research, and we produce. We could produce policy briefs through that research, or we can just produce our innovation. But the big challenge here is that the way we disseminate or the way most researchers disseminate their findings is through publication. But now the big question, how many politicians or how many public or policymakers do read what we publish? So what I would suggest, and what most researchers nowadays try to do, is alongside doing your publication from your research, you could also come up with a policy brief framed in a way that is understandable. You don't use technical terms, so that when somebody who is not in your field but is blessed to be a politician reads, he or she can understand and take it up to the highest level of governance. On balancing water governance and economics, I understand. I think economics comes before governance, from my perspective, because you will only obey a law stipulated in a particular policy if your stomach is full. What do I mean? Somebody would rather dig a borehole from a place that is not acceptable, or a place that is marked as an hotspot for fluoride, or even from a place that is an hotspot for other pathogenic, water-related pathogenic organisms and get money rather than not do it and remain poor. So that's another challenge that we as Africans experience, where we put the economics before the law. But again, this even extends to those who now, the policy makers or the policy implementers. They also, as in their line of implementing policies, they also put economics before governance. That means they rather get money, approve a license for a borehole to be put up in a place that is not recommended, rather than not take that money and deter a person from doing that unacceptable activity. So that's my response to that on those two issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that's well responded to. Our next question is, this is a comment from Anne. Anne is from Water Sector Trust Fund, Kenya. She's saying she's keen on innovations in management of brine from desalination plants. So she's kindly, okay, and I'll share the email address after this session. Thanks. The next question is from Emily. Emily is asking, is there a connection between the challenges experienced in water or in wash and climate change? Are they related, or are they connection or linked?
They are very much linked. In a way, climate change contributes to problems in wash. For example, climate change could result to either increase or to flooding or to drought. Whichever the case, when it is drought, when it contributes to drought, the water sources will deteriorate. When water sources deteriorate, some people will compromise quality to quantity. During floods, I'll use an example that I experienced some times back in Naivasha. There was some floods that resulted to increase in water level to the extent that the lake water level covered the wastewater treatment plant that was serving the Naivasha municipality. What do you expect from that? Increase in incidences of waterborne and water-related diseases. So yes, there's a very big interlink.
Okay, thanks. Carol, Dr. Carol Kiende, is it possible you just unmute and ask your question?
Yes, Ravenda.
Please go ahead.
My question regards the water trade in the cities and the big towns in Kenya. And we are very well aware that it remains very well unregulated. And if you sample water in, like where I stay in Nairobi, especially for food processing, you find that most of the water being traded does not meet the quality standards as per KEBS. So I'm wondering what Daktari and his team in these revered research institutions can do to really make the government understand that this business of water can become a very big menace at the end of the day. Thank you.
It's a challenge that is realized, as I noted earlier, the existence in the disconnect between researchers and policymakers. Researchers will tend to be technical. Policymakers need something that is simplified in a way that they understand. But again, in most of the circumstances, they also ignore, even if they understand. And that's why I stressed on the need to find alternative means and ways of disseminating our research findings in a way that everybody access it, in a way that everyone understands. Moreover, I think we also invite activists to work with the researchers, because the voice of activists is heard more than the voice of a researcher. The best way I communicate my research findings is just to publish, because, for example, it will be very difficult to reach a specific policy implementer. And if you are to do that, then you have to put a lot of effort, and you have to go through very many other offices or people. But when an activist picks up our voice and makes it louder, I think the hearing will also be louder. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr.
Sorry for that. Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if there's still anyone with a question or a comment. I think time is much spent. Anyone? If not, I would like to welcome Charles from AREN to give the closing remark.
Thank you, Lavenda. Let me see if I'm visible. Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Dr. Donde. I'm Charles Tanoya. I'm an engagement and policy dialogue coordinator at the Africa Research and Impact Network. And I have to tell you that I'm an Egerton alumni. So it's a great pleasure to see you from the environmental science department. That is, I think you are the second or the third generation from 2000 to 2005. So it's a great privilege to see Lavenda also advancing our department's engagements, especially from academic research and policy engagement, and also the whole academia. And then that is the spirit of Africa Research and Impact Network, to catalyze the peer-to-peer learning and also sharing and really engagement between the academia, the policymakers, the researchers, the practitioners, and our local communities, and creating that space, especially for distinguished scholars like you to come and really share widely, because most of us here, we are either researchers, practitioners, students, and of course, for the scholars, they know education doesn't end. So I've been very listening keenly, but my question to you is, recently I read an article that Windhoek in Namibia started recycling its water. I think it's now close to 50 years. So from the presentations that you have made, and I know a number of people here, their work from the ministries, you have touched not only the academic work, but also the policy, especially at the recommendation. So what you need to have a reflection in the next presentations is how do you transition, especially what you have recommended, and also the kind of students you are producing at the university and all other universities across Africa, so that we fill this space, because WASH is still a very huge untapped, there's untapped spaces within the WASH. Like we have got releasing, look at Nairobi, all our cities, we are releasing wastewater, but I think from your presentation, you place it as a resource. And also at what's COP28, where Kenya hosted the Africa Climate Summit, WASH was actually at the center. If you look at the heads of state statement, and the need now is to really bring together all these skills and insights that you have brought, so that we put in that space where all of us, we interact with it and put it in practice, and also considering in Kenya, for instance, and even other countries in Africa using the centralized system, most of the WASH activities are actually devolved to the districts or county government. So how do we reach them from this academic space are really quite substantive inside and policy space, but now to really supporting them in practice so that we can have Africa really meet its target under the SDG when you look at the wash, sanitation targets, and also health environment. So it has been a great pleasure listening to you, and also really showing how you are linking again with your student, Lavender. And this is the relationship that we would like to see in Africa, where graduates don't just finish, leave university, leave their lecturers, yet you have provided a lot of insights. For me, I still hold on to my former lecturers, because they are ever my mentors until we reach that point that you say bye-bye on earth. But at least at this particular chunk, I congratulate you with Lavender and in terms of building that relation. And this is the relationship that we need to demonstrate when you are engaging also with the policymakers. You see, look at the political space. They've built, they are very strong. But what about the researchers, academia, and policy and practice? That is where we need to come in instead of blaming some of the clusters in our communities. So thank you very much. Send our greetings to the department that the graduates from the Environmental Science Department, Egerton University, are really catalyzing, implementing what the lecturers, you taught us at the university, and we like to see that the policy and practice and also in our communities. Distinguished delegates present, I've learned to touch some of the names and I've known a number of you. So let's build on, let's build this momentum. Is the moment for Africa to really develop and understand its position in terms of research, academia, and policy, so that when we engage at the global space, we are going to be among the thought leaders. So we are going to launch, co-launch the Building Climate Resilience for the Upper and Poor. We are at the current space where we are developing the plan. So your input, Doc, is very important because we are meeting this week. And I think we are going to incorporate you in the stakeholder engagement so that you can infuse it, because that program was launched by former president in New York in 2019, and is going to is a model that is being shared across Africa and developing countries, especially to support transitioning or building resilience of the upper and poor, and especially people living in the informal settlements. So thank you very much, and God bless you, and share your contacts with the Lavender. There is a form, anyone who would like to present it the next Friday. So we are running it every Friday because we noticed that Africa is growing. By 2050, we could be, the population in Africa will be double the population of China and India. So if we don't start now to really catalyze learning, then we'll be caught up in terms of looking out many people not to share and also teach us many better ways of doing things. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Lavender, did you take a group photo? Okay, Washington is helping us to take us a group photo, so maybe you can put on a smile so that we show that Africa, there is hope ahead to do better things, because you see our heads of states also are really, our presidents are really championing for that. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, Tom, Peter, Dr. John, Wanka, Valerian, Christine, Evans, Gavi. Let's come on camera live and share our solidarity in
I'm waiting for more people to turn on their cameras
and sharing. Yes, yes. This one is a great opportunity to show the world so that we can not only be recipients, but also contributors to the policy decisions across the globe. Okay, Washington, have you taken 1 or 2 so far? Don't alert people so that they put on the real faces.
I've taken several.
Okay, several of them. Okay, thank you so much. So share, we welcome, share with your colleagues. Let's have this conversation, and really let's share every Fridays. Let's have, you could be having mursik, your traditional drink there, listening, your favorite food, your favorite bet also, I used to keep the dogs for hunting in the village, but now I'm in Nairobi. So we could be having those pets. So let's have an open space and enjoy. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Maybe one person close with for us with a word of prayer, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you too.
I'll be in Egerton soon. I was there a few months ago. I was in touch with the chair of the environmental science students. I think it must be third year.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for attending this our meeting. My name is Lavender once more, and thanks for coming through. Thank you, Dr. Donde. You're most welcome to present next time. And I was your moderator for today.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
This session, as we delve deeper into areas that we should to help our communities. Knowledge give us strength to all solutions. I ask all this. Amen. Bye, everyone.
Amen. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enjoy your weekend.